That's awesome.
Hey, Seth, thanks for coming back in for me again. We
Yeah.
listened to the phone call maybe a month ago.
Yep.
You seem to really like it. I've managed to get my hands on some more calls. So I have a call for you here today I'd like you to take a listen to.
Sure.
And it's all queued up for you, just like last time. Everything's on the laptop there. All you got to do is hit play and just let us know what you think.
Love it. All right, I'm excited. Let's jump in.
Thank you for calling. For quality of service, this call may be recorded. We look forward to talking to you about the opportunities we have available. Please continue to hold, and our next available recruiter will take your call. Good morning. Recruiting, how may I help you?
All right, so it took about 43 seconds from when the call was initiated till when it was picked up by a recruiter. The question you have to ask yourself is, how long is the driver willing to wait on hold? And I mean, that wasn't too bad, but I would encourage people to run a report if you are tracking your phone metrics on average, how long does it take for a caller to get through? Might be something you could shorten that window. One thing that we've seen, across campaigns is about 30 to 40% of all calls coming in last less than 1 minute. So if there's a lot of drivers calling in and then jumping off because they didn't get a hold of somebody within a minute, hey, maybe there's an opportunity there to get a hold of more drivers. So about 43 seconds, not too bad, but let's listen to the conversation.
Yeah, I have a question or two. I'm out here in Yuma, Arizona, and I'd like to know what kind of opportunities you have out here for Yuma. Well, is this correct? Okay, but we do have a regional run that would be like the West Coast.
All right, so a couple quick things there. I did like that the recruiter introduced themselves, name, recruiting company, so that was solid. The driver gave the location, which is common. It was interesting the recruiter knew the driver's name, so I think maybe an explanation of how the recruiter knew that would create a little bit of credibility with the recruiter, as well as create a nice and friendly atmosphere. So that would have been nice. And then the recruiter, it looks like they're going to jump right in and start talking about what they offer. Might be good at this point to just straight up ask the driver, like, what are you looking for? That way there's no guessing on what might be relevant and what to share with them. So recruiter's going to jump in, it sounds like, share the options, but it might be even a little bit more powerful to just ask the driver, because you might be surprised what they say and that steer the conversation in the right direction right off the bat.
Running the Western 11, hauling 53-foot dry vans. Those guys are typically out, 7 to 14 days and then home for a couple of days. Okay. We also have over-the-road positions if you want to stay a little bit longer, drive a little bit further. Our over-the-road is the Midwest to the West Coast, and we pull a 53-foot reefer for those. Those guys are typically out 3 to 4 weeks and then home for 3 or 4 days. Okay. And then we also have... you're Midwest. Yeah. You're Midwest to 11 Westerns. Did you say that was dry van? The Western 11 is dry van. Yeah, okay. And your OTR is... Well, your OTR is reefers. Yes. Yeah, well, I'm familiar with doing the 11 Western, so I've done that, a lot. But you have nothing local, say? For Yuma, I don't right now. Things could change, but I don't right now.
All right, so very common objection, if that's what you want to call it, with the driver wanting local, which makes sense. You know, especially, it sounds like this particular driver has been doing it for a while. To me, a missed opportunity there from the recruiter to give him kudos. Wow, that's awesome. Sounds like you've been driving for a while. Here, let me look up what we've got as far as local goes. Tell me a little bit about your background. What have you done? Learn a little bit about the driver, show an interest, because those things that you learn about the driver will help you then put something together, your best foot forward of something that could be applicable to the driver. Like I said, local is just one of those common ones that every recruiter should know how to answer that question and be prepared for it. So I'm interested to hear what this recruiter does. She's already said, no, there's no local, but does it end there? Does she keep it going? Let's see what she does.
Okay, well, I appreciate the information. Do you want me to send you an email, or is there something more I can help you with? Or are you just looking for local? Yeah, basically, I've been over the road most of my career, so I'm looking for something that'll get me home. I understand. Regular. Yeah. I understand. Yeah. Well, if anything changes and mark you want local, I'll reach out to you. Well, I appreciate that very much. Thank you kindly. No problem. All right, yeah. Okay, bye.
All right, so at least the recruiter did ask another question, just clarifying that, okay, it's just local, which surprises me that he says basically yes, because early on the driver asked some questions about, well, the reefer, the dry van, what's the Western 11. So to me, if the driver is going to ask some of those questions, he'd probably at least consider those other options. So once again, I think maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity from the recruiter to ask a little bit more about the driver's background, what he's done in the past, what he's currently doing. That's huge, right? Is you may not be able, and it's one of the ways I like to kind of handle the local objection, is you may not have anything local, but what if what you currently offer is better than what they currently have? And we don't know what he currently has, right? Maybe he's been out of work for a little while, or is in a over-the-road position that gets him home only once a month. Who knows? But by asking that question, you at least give yourself a chance to begin to address, hey, we don't have local, but it sounds like what we do have may be better than what you currently are running. And then who knows, we could have local open up as you're running the Western 11. But it gives you an opportunity to further that conversation. One last thing I wanted to point out is, I don't know if you all remember that show, Columbo, classic kind of solving mystery show, right? The murder mystery. One of the things that I loved that he did as a detective is when he was questioning people, he would ask them a few tough questions and then start to walk out. And then he would always turn around with that one big question.
Oh, there is one thing that I did want to ask you, sir.
And why did he do that? Because people would drop their guard as he's walking out, and then he would get a very honest answer, usually when he threw out that last question. So I would have loved to see the recruiter do something similar in this situation, where you can tell the call is about to wrap up. Just say, hey, absolutely, I can send you some information, or I can let you know when something changes real quick before I let you go, and then throw out a great question. Yeah, see how that goes. What's an example of a great question at that point? It may be, hey, real quick, before I let you go, what are the main things you're looking for as you make a decision on where to work? And just see what he says, right? He may, home time's obviously important, we know that, but maybe there's something about pay, or maybe there's something about a pet policy, or right, who knows? But allow the driver to answer the question, and then you can keep the conversation going potentially based on their response. So short call, but I think there's definitely some things we can take away from the call and learn from. The Columbo thing, right? Ask that big question at the end, right as you're wrapping up, as their guard drops. Ask a good question like that to see what they say. Also in the beginning of the call, I think we can set the tone early on and make it about the driver by, instead of just answering their questions, ask them a question about what they're looking for. so that we can begin to approach that call differently and make it super relevant. There's one in the middle, and now I'm forgetting it, Josh. What was objections. The 3 primary takeaways, and I forgot one of them. So in the middle there, the objections, right? The whole local thing. I think that's huge. You know, you're going to hear the same, whatever it is, 10 concerns over and over again. So be prepared for that. Know how you're going to answer it. Once again, it's not telling the driver what they want to hear. It's still giving that honest answer, but it's approaching it in a way where you're understanding them better and you're trying to tailor what you can offer to their situation. So those are my 3 big takeaways from that short call. I love doing this. Hopefully we do more in the future, Josh, if you can dig up some more calls. But it's always good to learn from the recruiters what to do and sometimes what not to do.
For sure. I will work on getting a hold of more calls. If you're willing to come in, we can do this as much as you're going to let me do it.
Sounds good. I love it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in again. I know your time is extremely valuable, so appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
You bet.
And I'll let you know when we get some more calls.
Sounds great.
All right. See you.
All right.